Greetings, YouTube, friends, subscribers, colleagues, scientists, like-minded, all those on the greater endeavor for the greater good of humanity and more. Well, we have Adam and Henning on this broadcast, and we're going to get everything fired up. My apologies on the lens. Give me a second. I'm going to take care of that, but we'll go ahead and get this started. Just 1 second here. Okay, gentlemen, we're live.
Okay. Hi. So how's it
Good.
going?
It's Friday, September the 30th, and here we are again. We're going for this live roundtable discussion. Give me just a moment, guys. If you want, you can go ahead and start talking about whatever. I got to clean the lens. I'm having a little bit of a issue with the camera here really quick, but go ahead and you guys start it off. I'll be right back.
Can you still hear me, John?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I saw yesterday a video from Israeli Live News that there was this crew flying over the Hurricane Iron, and they flew out a drone, kind of looked like a cruise missile, but it's not. And they flew that into the storm to take measurements. At an elevation of 2,000 feet, they measured a wind speed of 210 miles an hour. And when we think about that the atmosphere is compressing, well, you can calculate the rest. Those hurricanes are getting closer and closer to ground and causing more and more destruction than we would actually like. But that's something Mike was talking about. But I also want to say something else. Many years ago, I saw a video on YouTube with a Hopi Native American elder. And he was talking about before their time, which we call tribulation, which the pagans call Ragnarok. He said the winds, and he emphasized that 4 times on top of each other, the winds. And he was very adamant about that. So I guess he's on something. The atmosphere is compressing, and we're measuring 210 miles an hour hurricane. That's faster than Katrina. So yeah, something is definitely going on up there that is not too good, which is going to go on here on planet Earth or on the ground. I'm not entirely cool with that because I have a job where I have to be out in the elements. And my truck can only master 60 miles an hour wind gusts. Anything higher than that, I'll be flipped over. No matter how heavy I am, I'm just going to get flipped. And I get hurt. And other people get hurt.
Right. Probably the best option in your case is when you know that wind currents on the ground are going to be that strong, it's not to deliver during those times, right?
Well, if I have a forecast where I'm being told that we can have wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour, I'm not going anywhere. Not in my truck. I'll stay home. I'll stay put. But even if you sit at a truck stop parked, and there's a wind gust of 60 miles an hour and higher, hitting you perpendicular to your rig, no matter how much you weigh, it's going to flip you. That's scary. But in that case, I won't get hurt that much. I'll just get some bruises, maybe a broken arm. But if I flip over while I'm traveling 65 miles an hour, that's an entire different story. Because then I don't have any control over my vehicle, and I don't know where I will end up after that. Maybe 6 foot under, most likely. Crashing with 65 miles an hour is a serious matter in a semi.
Yeah, you sent me some imagery of a lot of trucks that were doing deliveries. A lot of them were knocked off the road, probably because of those high ground currents.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter what type of vehicle you're driving. If you're meeting wind speeds 60 miles an hour plus, any vehicle on the road is susceptible to some serious imbalance. And it's even high, yeah, you're just going to get pushed off the road. Last year there was a storm up in Oklahoma. It was not really a storm because it wasn't raining, but it was extremely windy, and that was wind gust up to 50 miles an hour. And I was actually on my way to Oklahoma City going north, and the wind came from due west, and I was sitting 15, 20 times just saying to myself, this is it. That's how much my truck was leaning. It was so scary, I tell you that. Oh man, it was terrifying.
Yeah, I think
it was only 50.
Yeah, many of my travels across the East and the West Coast when I was doing surveys, like those barometric pressure surveys, I saw a lot of vehicles like campers or people that were pulling stuff that were always, getting knocked off the road because of those high wind currents. So I can only imagine, like if you have just the right condition, what would happen to a trailer, like on these semis that, that you're running around driving.
If you're driving a light trailer such as a camping wagon and the wind speed is over 40 miles an hour, I would suggest you don't drive anywhere with it. Just stay where you are until the storm settles. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. And the camping wagon, it looks so nice and sturdy, and even those big ones with free axles on them. I mean, they're not heavy. They weigh a couple of tons, and it's just a giant wall driving down the road, pretty much. It doesn't take much to tip it over.
There's another factor, right, which nobody probably ever talks about it, but if you think about like what a scientist would think about, like why when you have something like high wind currents and tornadic activity, why it can easily pick up these metal semi trucks. It's because if you think about basic science, right, like when you're working with positive and negative charges, I'm sure anybody that remembers like the old school science experiments, like where you would go in and you'd have a Van de Graaff machine, and then you would put like 2 aluminum plates on top of the Van de Graaff machine. And what you would quickly find out is that as the surface charge builds up, you're getting these like charges that start building up and repelling the plates. So they both could be like really thick pieces of aluminum, really heavy. But what would happen in a very fast amount of time is that you would see those 2 heavy plates separate and pick up and just be moved and thrown somewhere at a ridiculous amount of speed, depending on the rate of charge on surface area.
Yeah.
So when you think about these storms that are rolling through and how low these clouds are getting, ultimately there is a great amount of surface charge that's being built up. And if you think about your semi that you're driving, right, these heavy semis, they are giant conductors. And so what's happening is all of this charge is getting transferred into the surface area of those metal, metal containers. Yeah. And then as that charge is building up, then they become weightless. It's not just because of the wind, there is another factor that's involved with, surface charge. And as that's being transferred into these semis, they're becoming weightless, and then they're just getting picked up and thrown somewhere. And, some people are like, man, that thing is heavy, but how did it get picked up so easily? Well, it's not because, of all just being like 200-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, think about some of the tornadoes that are like 75 miles an hour picking up, 10-ton semis or heavier and just throwing them like it was nothing. It's because of those simple principles.
Yeah, and I'm driving intermodal, so my entire rig is nothing but big block of steel.
Yeah.
I'm driving ship's containers.
Yeah.
That's my job. I've done that for almost 7 years now. I love my job. It's dangerous, but I still love my job. Dallas at rush hour, which it is now. Yikes.
Yeah.
But you know that, John. You live here.
Yeah. If you know, like how like we're undergoing this this whole thought of the like the war tensions right now, and you know everybody's talking about prepping and like all this stuff about Armageddon or the last days. You know, I mean, like you know you can't avoid it. Like you know, like it's just everywhere. Like people are constantly talking about it. But when I hear all of that stuff, or when I go out and I'm driving in traffic, like first thing I do is I look around and say, you know, like if one person has an accident and you got 10 lanes, they're going to shut down all 10 lanes. So,
Yeah.
you know, you've seen how it is. I'm sure everybody's seen how it is. It doesn't matter what city you're in, whether it's the East Coast, the West Coast, if you're in, you know, the South, like, you know, down here in Texas, or if you're up north, you know, one person wrecks, like nobody's going anywhere, you know, because people, they like to stop and look and see what's going on, and then they jam up the traffic for everybody else. And you know, then you got the people that are trying to come out and deal with the situation, and then they shut down all the rest of the lanes, preventing the flow. And 9 times out of 10, nobody wants to take the offending vehicle and move it completely off of the scene.
Well, that's mostly because of police report.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But whether it's in the middle, yeah, whether it's in the middle of the road or the first lane or the second lane, it doesn't matter. You know, if they were just to push it over to the side, they can still make their police report in the same thing, and you know, take pictures. And but nobody ever practices, you know, good traffic etiquette. It doesn't matter like where you are, they impede, you know, the scene. You know.
Yeah,
in fact, when I was,
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I've just been in it.
Yeah, I think 2 weeks ago, like I traveled out towards East Texas on 80, and somebody actually flipped a car on 80, and there was an injury, but somebody actually they actually moved the car off of the road, and it was only 2 lanes. And
yeah, you're talking about US 80?
Yeah,
Yeah, I just came off it.
Yeah, but I mean, at least they moved the car, you know, off to the side. But
yeah, they don't always do that.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, bottom line is, it's like if there's one accident, nobody's going to go anywhere. And you know that if people are trying to run away and escape something, they're not going to be going anywhere, because somebody's going to do something stupid.
I know if there's a fatality accident on the any road, they shut both directions down.
Yeah.
Hey,
that's what they do in Texas. I know they do that.
Henning, have you been up to down highway or what is it, I-35? Have you been down I-35 through Oklahoma lately?
Last week, yeah.
Did you come up by like like close to Kansas?
No, I don't. The closest I get to Kansas is Oshalata in Oklahoma.
Okay, well,
Walmart DC there.
I know what's going on is like we're getting a free pond, like a giant pond. We're getting a free pond built for us by the roadwork division that does the highway stuff. What they're doing is they're replacing every overpass, and they're increasing the height from what is it, 11 or 12 feet to 13 and a half. So they're knocking down all of the existing overpasses from, you know, beyond where I live, like all the way down to Oklahoma City. And I thought that was real weird. Why do they need that extra 2 or 3 feet?
Because they need to move larger equipment through.
Exactly.
And what is that larger equipment? That's
exactly. Why are they offering to dig ponds just so they can get a hold of some dirt? Like, they're taking dirt, but they're also bringing in another company to build us a pond for free, and that ain't cheap. They're probably doing $30,000 or $40,000 worth of work to that pond.
So that will be BNSF Railways that is in charge of that. I can imagine, because they're going that way. They're going north, east, and west.
No, it's not the railroads though. It's the main highway.
Oh, okay, that's DOT.
Yeah, that's what it's weird. They're doing construction and have been since I was a kid on I-35 anyway. But now,
I know.
all kinds of it's all messed up.
Yeah. I mean, they're done digging a hole and then they start digging a new hole. That's how it is.
It's insane, dude. We have, if you've ever been down the highway here, if you go from Tonkawa to Oklahoma City, that is the worst highway and the most rough highway you've ever been on. And it's constantly been under construction since I was 5 years old. Since I was old enough to remember what road construction looks like, they've been doing road construction on one side or the other since I was a kid.
Wow. Well, there's a construction going on I-30 and 360. They're making an interchange there. That project has been going on for 6 years, and there's no end in sight.
It's insane.
That's insane. They should have been done now, but they're not done. And people are being very, very rude now. They're not putting up with it anymore. It's a mess. It's right there by...
Can they just not get enough workers? Or it seems to me like when I go to the farm, I got to drive a 30-minute drive to the farm to go do my thing every day. But it seems wherever they're doing road construction, it's like they work 3 days out of the entire week. And if there's a hint of clouds or it looks like it's going to rain, they scatter like ants.
Well, it's a union issue, and it go under the saying job guarantee. They need to keep all these Department of Transportation workers active, or else unions will, start making trouble.
I just don't understand it. If you work for them, do they pay you for days you don't actually work?
No. If it's raining 3 days out of a week, they don't make money those 3 days. That's the downside by being a road worker. That is, you don't make a dime if you're not working. You don't get some kind of layover payment or anything like that. No. So it's a very unstable income if you're working as a road construction worker.
They're probably having trouble finding help. That's what it is too, huh?
Actually, no. They don't. But they come and go. I mean, the turnover percentage in that industry is very high. It's over 100%. People don't stay for long because it's so unstable at work.
Well, I couldn't imagine, because to go to work for them, I'd have to drive 30 minutes to an hour and a half every day, depending on where I went, and they probably don't even pay for that.
What do you mean?
Like to where they work on the road, to get a job with them, you'd have to travel 30 minutes or an hour sometimes to get to work, I'd imagine.
Yeah, but you don't get paid for driving to work.
That's what I'm saying. That's probably another reason why.
Yeah, they don't supplement your usage of gasoline on your travels every day. That's out of your own pocket. But they do make good money. They make up to $25 an hour. So they're not exactly being underpaid.
Right.
It's also a kind of dangerous job they have. Lots of things can go wrong. Inattentive drivers crash into them. That happens a lot, unfortunately, because people are so busy on their phones and they got something in them now that is resonating with the 5+2, it's the 3+2 towers. That is Charlie 109.
Yeah.
You know what that is? So the accidents on the roads now has increased by 33% since the pandemic. For wonder why.
Yeah,
That's
like
bad.
like the numbers on the Charlie 19 situation are staggering, but you know, it's not. I wouldn't say that everybody's in denial of anything, but everybody knows what the numbers are now, the cold hard facts on the whole situation. I mean, nothing can be hidden anymore. The question is, what is somebody going to do about it soon? But if you think about a lot of the accidents are happening, or the fatalities, the random fatalities, the increased cardiac arrest situations, just all of the above. Uh, it's pretty dire. What that is right now, and nobody can argue with that or deny it anymore. The question, is how do you get what is this? Um, One second. The Nuremberg, the people who enacted the Nuremberg Code back in the days of Germany, when they had like all of that going on, is how come none of them are taking action on that? It's probably because it's in the homeland of the United States of America, and not across the borders overseas, probably where they deal with that type of code. But I can assure you
Well,
that we need something like that to take place in this country, because it's a pretty nasty situation right now.
I know they made the Nuremberg Code, but I also think that what was going on post World War II regarding the trials, I just think that was a show for the people that they were actually prosecuting them. Because people are not thinking about Project Paperclip, right? They brought all the German scientists over that was guilty to, the tip of their nails.
They all should have been executed.
Exactly. They should all have been dead. But they did. They brought them over here, and America unfortunately continued down the same path as the Nazis with human experimentation. And there's actually no law in America that prohibits the military-industrial complex to do experiments on the populace.
They don't have to tell us. Like, they could literally spray this whole entire town with some brand new chemical to try it out, and it could kill all of us, and they wouldn't have to say shit.
Yeah, exactly.
They've done it before.
Yeah.
What was it? The Tuskegee experiment that went horribly wrong.
There was a small town, I forget where it was at, and I'll look it up in case anybody wants to doubt me. But they did a radiation experiment where they contaminated like a whole small town, and they didn't tell anybody, and they just studied everybody for effects.
That's crazy. You know what they did also in the post-war? They injected deliberately, and it was. This is almost a taboo, but they did it on Jewish people, and they did it especially on black people. They injected them directly with radioactive material into their body.
Yeah, I know about that one.
Just to see the effects of radiation firsthand, because they only had what they saw from Japan, but they couldn't really get their hands on that, so they had to have laboratory tests themselves, case studies about what effect that has on you. They did that. All under the guise of health services. It's terrible. I mean, this fascist experimentation on human beings, well, the Japanese were no better. Absolutely no better. They're actually worse than the Germans.
Well, you know how we have like all these activists that are like everywhere or whatever, and
they all bought up. They only speak when there is a case where there's a political agenda behind it, or else they just keep shut.
Yeah,
that's just how it is. I mean,
back in the days, like when people actually used to care about like humanity or whatever, or the Vietnam War, like there would actually be like activists that actually cared, But today, it's like the only people that are out that are like these activists are the people that seem to be getting some type of cash or getting paid to do something or to promote some agenda.
I know who cares. ACSP. They take a very good care of animals. I'm a member of them. They're doing something for the animals, but you know, animals when they die, they go to heaven straight. They don't have to worry about anything.
I don't remember ever if I ever talked about this, but when I used to travel down to Louisiana, down close by where Iberia is. Do you know where that is?
Where?
Iberia.
No, I don't know where it is.
Okay, well, there's a biolabs facility that's down there, and when I would go down in that area, that region, it was dark, scary, and you could hear the screams of the monkeys and the animals at night.
That's
You know,
just sick.
yeah, and it's like, when you think about, people
Yeah,
that say that they care about something.
Where's Peter in this, right?
Yeah, right. I mean,
Completely silent.
Yeah, where's anybody when it comes to the real stuff? I mean,
this is one of the things that I wanted to point out because there's more mosquito talks with Bill Gates. But in 1956 and 57, the United States Army conducted a number of biological warfare experiments on the cities of Savannah, Georgia, and Avon Park, Florida. In one such experiment, millions of infected mosquitoes were released into two cities in order to see if the insects could spread yellow fever and dengue fever. Not surprisingly, hundreds of researchers contracted illnesses that included fevers, respiratory problems, stillbirths, and thyroid problems. It's crazy. And like there's a list of like hundreds of experiments that they've done to us and other countries that are just insane.
Yeah, that is insane.
So with that said, I have a statement I want to make, right? So everybody like follows, well, for the most part, everybody follows, like God, spirit, good etiquette, and all that. And it's kind of interesting that the simplicity of it all is that God already made the perfect machine. He made the human being, and the body is it's a very interesting tool that can deal with all of the conditions that are on this planet that God provided for us. But it's interesting that man is out here trying to change all of these things and create these conditions and do something.
It's not interesting.
Right, but I mean, it's just
because what it really is, if we stay on the spiritual path, that is, Satan and his minions only have one plan. No, they got two plans. Plan number one, that is to take as many people as they can, deceive them and bring them back to hell with them because they know that time is short. They're on death row already. They know that. And the second thing is they want to destroy everything that God saw was good, meaning creation. They want to do it, a copy of it, by modifying everything that God has created. That's what they're doing. And they're letting men do it for them because they're not able to do it themselves. So they deceive men to believe that they can become like gods. It's the same old story repeating itself right now. These people in power today, all these scientists that works for evil, they think by doing what they're doing, they can gain immortality and become like gods. The only difference between man and our Lord, our Savior, that is, we are mortal. He's not. But we are made in His image. But we can die. He can't die. He's forever and ever. So that's why the human body is the perfect machine. Because we made in His image. We're perfect. We are created perfect. But we can die. You get me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. But they're trying to destroy that. And with Charlie 109, they're definitely succeeding good part of that part. That's for sure. That is very detrimental to any human being on this planet. Severely detrimental.
Yeah, so relating to the Charlie 19 situation, like I stopped posting so much information on that because like it's just nonstop truth. It's nonstop truth, and I think like everybody's so massaged with it now that they can see the reality of it.
People are waking up to the fact that Charlie 109 is not good, but it's too late.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's too late.
Like
Because
they're already showing
made...
people are having pregnancy failures and
oh yeah.
In fact, like I had a lot of people that were good friends that called me, and three or four individuals that all underwent the same process. They all like had their children had died at conception, or they died, while they were in the middle of carrying them, and it was
That's still tough.
Yeah, exactly. It was really bad news to hear, but that's the kind of stuff that's I've been hearing like nonstop lately.
Yeah, but Michael Jackson, he was the king of pop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bill Gates is the king of deep pop.
Yeah, I saw that meme you sent out. That's pretty funny, actually.
Isn't that the truth?
Well, yeah, it is it's a hard truth, but
it is. And we can't talk bad about him. Then they'll get after you. I did that on Twitter. I got suspended until I accepted in terms of conditions. Jeez.
Well, yeah, I've already accepted, because of the whole electrical energy movement. I've been, Shadowburn has been shadow banned over the hard truth about all that. But
another thing is with my YouTube channel, like I've noticed that I don't even really talk about like the stuff that we talk about on here, because that's, I don't know, not that I have an excuse, but it's just like I haven't got to that point yet. And it seems like my videos are also shadow banned, and I think it's just because of the videos and things that I watch and or people that I'm subscribed or associated with. It's like they have me knocked down for no reason.
Yeah,
because like for instance, I put out like the biggest motocross race of the year. It's like the Olympics. It's called MX of Nations, and I have a really awesome computer setup, so I can watch something, stream it, or I can record it, or I can do all of the above all at once. And I can record something, and even if it's an hour long, I can get it recorded and uploaded to YouTube within 30 minutes. So I'm literally one of the first videos that's going to go up on YouTube of that race, and it's like I got 200 or 300 views, and every other video of the same thing that I posted that was posted hours later has anywhere from like thousands to hundreds of thousands of views, and there's no reason for it because the title's the same when you search for the video.
Well, it's the same principle as contact tracing. You're associating yourself with people that is speaking about what we're speaking about now. So they already put codes on you.
Right. That's my point.
Yeah, exactly. That's how they work. That's how they silence people. That's why it's so difficult on YouTube now to communicate in general. But I've noticed something on Twitter now. Twitter is exploding with Charlie 109.
Is it?
Are you kidding? There's nothing but on when I open my Twitter just to, look for some memes and stuff and, just get a little reading on the pulse. every second or every third post from various people are about Charlie 109.
Well, I think a lot of that, dude, there's so much of it now. They probably couldn't stop it if they wanted to because people are losing loved ones, and they know exactly why. People are dying for no reason. People are passing out behind the wheel of their car, and that's why the car incidents have gone up dramatically. People are just crashing out, going down the highway.
You think 33% is a lot?
It's way more than that, dude.
That's freaking insane. Well, that's just the latest statistics, because we get statistics in the company I work for. I actually work for the largest intermodal company in the nation, so you can figure out who that is yourself. We got over 120,000 containers.
You know how, I mean, everybody can just go out and just look at where the increase is in the statistics, right? They can go and do the demographics on everything, and they can just follow the money, where all the money is going, and what the increases
well,
are.
Some demographics you cannot trust.
Yeah.
But I trust the demographics I get from my company when it comes to traffic safety.
It's hard to lie to the insurance company, and that's who they ultimately have to report back to.
Exactly. So they have to be truthful on that one.
Another thing that I wanted to bring up was dang it.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead. Somebody else take the floor. I'll remember it. It was there and then it was gone.
Well,
hold on. I got it. I remember. If you look at a map of where the 5G is majoritarily conglomerated, right? Like together, you can go back and you can look at the supposed Charlie 19 outbreaks, right? I think maybe something was made in the lab, but I think they turned up the 5G to give people symptoms of Charlie 19 and make them tired and beat down and already break down their immune system, and then they got a virus on top of that to force them into getting the 19 shot. It was another scare tactic, because if you look at all the major outbreaks, it's all the major cities along the way that have the 5G, the biggest networks of it.
Yeah, and it's predominantly in liberal-controlled cities. Sad to say, but I would say the liberals in this nation, they are probably the most gullible and blind people on the face of this planet. They just go along with the program.
Hands down.
They don't ask questions. That's why FJB went up on the stage and spoke to the nation with this red background and looked like a bloody freaking dictator, where he uttered that the conservatives, the MAGA, which is just a term for Make America Great Again, they are the enemy. They are the terrorists. He plainly said that straight up. So,
and then he took it back. He was like, "Oh wait, I didn't."
That's too late. Hey, that's too late. He has already imprinted that in the brains and memories of people. That's too late. You can't retract what you have said. I mean, people forget what you have done, right? And they forget what you do, but they will never forget what you say.
You know what?
Never.
In contrast to that, so some stuff that for a little while, like when this was all happening, would pop up into my feed, and YouTube would the algorithm would throw the most interesting stuff into my feed, like out of nowhere for no reason. But one of the most interesting videos they threw in my feed was the man that accidentally killed the most people in the world.
Accidentally?
Exactly. Have you seen that pop up in your feed?
Actually that popped up in my feed probably about 8-9 months ago.
Yeah. So I never clicked on it because I didn't want to entertain the AI algorithm. I didn't want to give it entertainment of like
Hey,
clicking on
hey,
it.
you can send it to me. I'll give it entertainment. I want to
No, I
look
mean
at it.
you can just look it up and just look up the video because I just like I'm not gonna click on that, but I mean like just search in there and just say the man that accidentally killed the most people in the world, and it's got like this thing like where somebody like created something and people consumed it or took something and they perished or something. But I was like, like if you think about the all of this stuff that's going on right now, there's like this acceptance of this Charlie 19 situation that's going on,
Well, most of the world, especially when you are on a liberal wavelength, they are actually, without signing in their blood or on a contract, they're already becoming a member of a death cult.
They're giving their consent by being idiots.
Yeah, exactly. They don't ask questions like
Just because you're an idiot and you're complacent doesn't mean that you don't have consequences for being an idiot.
Exactly. I mean, you can say, I choose not to make a decision. You already made a decision there.
You know what?
Right?
You know what? One of the most difficult things okay, so I am Christian in spirit. So one of the most difficult things, because one of the paths to Christianity is being able to follow in the image of Christ, right? But one of Christ's greatest things in being able to follow in his image is being able in the end to be able to forgive everybody for anything, whatever they're doing. They have a lesson to learn, they have a path to follow, and at one point they're gonna ultimately
I forgive Joe Biden, I forgive Bill Gates, I forgive Hitler,
yeah.
Stalin, but I'll still piss on their graves.
Yeah. And
But I forgive them.
it's just it's a
Honestly,
tough
I think
world.
that is one of the biggest flaws in Christianity I could ever imagine. Like, I get it, you're supposed to forgive people, but that is exactly why we are in the position that we are in, is because people forget and they forgive and they're complacent.
Well, no, that I cannot agree to. It's not exactly how that is, Adam. If you forgive someone and you forget, then you're not a true believer. You will always remember what that person has done and said. Even though you forgive them 77 times, it doesn't matter, but you don't forget what they did and what they said. That will always be with you, and that should always stand as a marker and also as a warning to you that this person might try and hurt you again.
Yeah, but why take the chance to keep them around in your life knowing that 90 out of 100, they're going to screw you over?
Yeah, because the fact is, love makes this world turn. Genuine Christians forgive their enemies. A genuine Christian loves their brothers and sisters, no matter what religion they have, no matter how evil they have been in their life. That's the whole thing. It weighs so much, this forgiveness thing, on our shoulders. We need to understand that we have to. No matter how hard it is, we have to. We have to let it go.
Just from to cap that off, just my own personal experiences, it seems people that like to screw people over, they get away with everything they do, they break the law, and the cops don't do anything. It's just like they most of the time seem to have a generally better life. They're off better financially because they're out screwing people over for money. And it's like, at the end of the day, all they have to do before they die is say, "Hey God, I'm sorry."
No,
right?
That's not how it works.
that's how it's perceived, though. It's like I can live a life like I'm living.
That's absolutely wrong, because Jesus will say to those people, depart from me, I never knew you. You can't just because, okay, I have 2 minutes left to live in, I can just say a prayer and then I'm just going to do this. If you have spent your whole life being, what you are, and you wait to your very last breath, I think that will be a very difficult task for you to get to heaven on. You might get in with your skin of your teeth, but if he never knew you, you have no place there.
Well, I hope that's how it is, because then it just seems like this whole thing's a waste of being a nice guy. Because it seems like every time I'm a nice guy, or just want to let things slide or forgive and forget, I ended up getting screwed over even worse for having that mentality. And it hasn't changed my mindset yet, but I'm just saying.
Hey, just be the one you are and what you know is the right person to be. Just stick to that, no matter what happens. Turn the other cheek too. But what you can do to save yourself from trouble, if someone violates you in any form or fashion, forgive them, but tell them to depart from you. You don't have to speak to them ever again, but you have to forgive them. Just forgive them, but let them go. Let them go. Out of your way, out of your life. They have no place in your life because you already know they're going to come back and hurt you again in some form or fashion. So keep that away from your life. But forgive them.
Okay.
You get me now?
Yeah.
You don't have to have them in your life and again and again and again being violated. Mentally or physically. You don't have to put up with that. Forgive them and just say, I can't talk to you anymore. You have to go your own way. And hopefully that person will learn from that. Maybe that person did like you, but just didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, coming back to, what you were saying, earlier about, depending on what side of the fence you're on, I mean, the whole thing is in the end, is whether they're the way they are, or anybody, depending on whatever label anybody, wants to put on anyone's head, whether it's mine, yours, anybody in the world, right? In the end, they're on a path and they have a hardship, something that they're here to learn about, experience, that keeps the, ever-ending cycle going for all of us to have an experience and to learn something from and to evolve from spiritually. And, in the end, it's walking that path. And,
exactly.
as sad as
Bill
it
Gates
is,
incapable of walking that path.
Yeah.
Because I consider him as a sociopath and a serial killer.
Yeah, so...
I'm not a doctor, but that's what he is.
That's just my point, though. Like, I understand it's a battle with good and evil, but it's like God lets people like Bill Gates, George Soros, their whole lives are based on a lie, corruption, and just their families have this endless wealth. And it's like every evil person that runs this world seems to have endless wealth, and it's God just lets it go. There's no consequences. There's no actions.
There are consequences.
Name one he's had.
Well,
hey,
it's like this. It's like this. Think about it like this. Look at every war that has ever existed. Look at any fighter that fights in the ring. Look at just combat in general. What you see is generally 9 times out of 10, the best is always saved for last, right? So, it's all designed. It's all architected. It's God's perfect plan in the end. So whatever is going to happen in the end will either unfold and reveal itself in the end when the time is right. So you just always have to trust in God's plan that whatever is going to happen is going to happen for the greater good, whatever it is in the end. And, we may not be here to see that, or we might be here to see it, who knows? But, one of the most difficult things is, each of our own individual life paths. But as we're watching this game unfold, it's, you know, you know, just witnessing whatever it is, so. Looks like we just lost. Who did I lose? Guys, you still there? All right, give me 1 second. I think we lost the connection here. That one was interesting. Give me 1 second. Well, I just lost you guys. Hold on, I gotta reconnect. 1 second. That was interesting. They totally kicked that one.
Yeah, it's probably because they don't like me talking about Bill.
Hold on 1 second.
So are we on again?
Yeah, I'm about to bring in. 1 second. Hello?
Was that part of God's plan?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, we hold on 1 second. We're coming back on. Okay, you guys there?
Was God's way of saying, "I have control, shut your mouth"?
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
He is in control, but you gotta understand.
Give us a win. Like have Bill Gates fall out of the sky in one of his fancy planes. Take one of these guys down to show you got our back a little bit. Is all I'm asking for.
Well, see, here's the problem, Adam. That is, you should never wish anybody harm. Sorry. Sun is in my nose. That's the whole key there. That is, we should never wish any of our brothers and sisters harm. Because when we get to that point, we are showing the opposite of love, and that is indifference. And that is not a good thing, a good path to be down on for any human being. Especially not if you're a Christian and you start walking down that path, well, then you're already astray.
Right, well, I don't even hate my neighbors after all the stuff they've done to me, but like Bill Gates, I'd be comfortable with saying I hate that individual. But
You're supposed to love him. You should actually pray for him. But I don't think there's any hope because he is mentally ill. And he's been mentally ill all his life. And I don't think
I know, but that's where my stipulation comes in, is what crimes against humanity are enough to commit an individual to say your life here is no longer justifiable to anyone. It's time to take you out. Just like the Nuremberg trials, when we said they should have taken those Nazis out that murdered all those people against the wall and had a firing squad. Even in the Bible, God will eventually have enough of somebody. What is that line that we can draw that says enough is enough, you're no longer permitted here?
Hey, that's not up to us. That's not up to us. We cannot pass judgment. That's not our ball game. That's off limits for us.
That's my whole point. So it's like if we don't have the judgment to do that, and God refuses to step in and do anything to help us, it's like
he's not refusing because he's given man free will. It is up to you to choose the right path in your life, and if you follow his teachings, you won't hurt a fly. But if you don't follow his teachings, well, then you let into temptation very easily. And then
Okay. And to my final point, if that I know that's correct, and that is the teaching and the doctrine. But is that not what lets these evil individuals keep going? Because they know they've taught us that we're not supposed to harm a fly. So that just gives them instant
they just don't care. They don't care.
If they know the truth and they know there's a God and there's a devil.
Yeah, but they have made a decision. They have made the decision to follow the beast. And they will ultimately end up in their own demise. And they know that, but they are so, they're blinded. Scripture says that men will be blinded by their own evil doing. They're just going to continue in a vicious circle, and those people, they are pretty much lost permanently.
And to my final point, to wrap all that up to where I was going, they either have now or will have in a few years the technology to no longer die, whether it's through cloned bodies and transfer of consciousness or some other means. But people like Bill Gates are no longer going to have to die, and they will live forever.
No, they won't.
So let's come back around to the table, like where we were in the beginning on the climate chaos situation. So did any of y'all listen to the broadcast yesterday with Mike by chance?
Say that again.
Yeah, did y'all happen to pick up on the broadcast with Mike yesterday or no?
Yes, I listened to the whole thing this morning.
Yeah, what was your what's your feedback on that, or what's some of your takeaway on that?
Well, I know for a fact now that planet Earth do not any longer have any natural weather. All weather is manipulated. All of it.
Right. So let me say something, in contrast to your statement. So right now we definitely have a lot of geoengineering and weather modification going on. There's no question about that. It's all of the evidence, all of the patents, everything is there, and every person who's on the good side of the fence, we just call everybody Bravo team. That's on the side of good, the greater good. They're actively, pursuing that and trying to educate everybody on that. But, what they're unleashing as far as like this whole climate chaos situation is that it works like this. So imagine a sandbox that sits, on a dual scale. And you got yin and yang. You've got the north, you've got the south, right? And each box is filled with sand. If you got one person on one side of the scale taking sand out of the box, we're going to imagine that the sand is the weather itself, okay? If you start taking sand out of one side of the box and throwing it onto the other side of the box, what happens to the scale? It becomes unbalanced, and you have disturbed the order of the system.
Yeah.
And what is the system? The system is the environment, our habitat globally. It doesn't matter what your house of belief is, whether it's flat, inside of the earth. It doesn't matter what your belief is. The point is that the simplicity of the science is like this. If you're taking sand, the weather, out of one side of the box and you're dumping it to the other side of the scale into the other sandbox, you are disturbing the forces, the really strong and great forces of the earth by making these changes and these shifts. You are disturbing God's engineering, and this is where man is playing God with weather, with frequency, with sound, all of the above. But if they want to talk about climate chaos, it's not all wrapped up and what's going on with just the external forces of space. This is very serious with what's going on our own homeworld, because they are basically uprooting large quantities of mass of water and picking it up and carrying it somewhere and disturbing the counterweights of balance of this earth.
Yeah.
So if they want to use the model, just one second, if they want to use the model of we're on a globe and we're a spinning top, well, when they pick up all of this mass of water and they move it somewhere and then they quickly dump it somewhere and set it down, well, they're going to increase or they're going to disturb, by a fractional percentage, but they're still disturbing something. They're disturbing the centrifugal force to where it could potentially
that's
impact
called
the water.
butterfly effect.
Yeah. So they're definitely disturbing, that rotational mechanism, because
and the rotational mechanism on our planet is what is creating our magnetic field. So by making those disturbances, they are weakening our magnetic field. But I know why they're doing that. Because if they don't weakening our magnetic field, the veil can't be broken. They can't come in. That's why they're creating these disturbances in our atmosphere, so it's affecting our magnetosphere, and that is breaking down the veil, so that is from the outside can come in. That's what they're doing. They're terraforming.
Yeah.
That sums up the whole thing. They're terraforming our planet to be able to facilitate those who will arrive next year and the year after that they can be here for a prolonged period of time, because as it is right now, they can come, some of them, they can arrive, but they can only be here for a short period. Then they have to return to their own habitat and readjust to their frequency. That's why they need to disturb the frequency, because everything is vibration and frequency. All of it. So if they can bring the Earth's frequency to a lower point, they can break the veil and they can come in and they can stay permanently. And when they arrive, that is not going to be a good day for a human being on this planet. They're going to eat us alive, these things. Just so you know, they're not going to cook you first. They're going to eat you where you stand.
One thing that they're talking about is this stuff that's going on beyond the veil, which is out in space, right? And one thing that's clear is that you can see that the stars are doing something different. You can see like where they're getting closer to us or going further away. And some people may say, well, this happens over a fixed period of time. Well, I'm going to have to argue with that used to be the case, but that's not the case anymore. In fact, if you do like I do, like where you go out and you go for a walk every night and you're watching the stars, you can see like where they're either out really far today, but the next day, at the 12 o'clock position, now they're like way up here really close in your face, like, what happened to Earth? How did we get so close to the stars tonight versus yesterday night? I mean, it's an extreme amount of move that happened between yesterday and today.
You know what I think it is? I think it's a lensing.
Well, I understand what lensing is. So as the stars are coming up, over the horizon, they are going to be bigger because the magnification factor is definitely there. But as they get up into the, let's say, the 11 o'clock position or the 10 o'clock position, they generally look like they're far away. But they haven't been having that effect, because where I'm gauging this is when they're right up at the 11 to 12 o'clock position or the 1 o'clock position in the sky. So in those positions, they've been getting really far away or they've been getting, really close. So they're either really close or they've been getting really far away, like they're just disappearing or something. And
Well,
the same thing in the 1 o'clock and the 10 o'clock position has been happening with the moon. Like the moon is generally about the size of a penny or a quarter at the 10 o'clock or the 1 o'clock position when you're holding it out in your hand and far away. But for the last few nights, it's been really giant, like it's a, like if it's coming over the horizon and it's a full moon. And, you have to think that everybody has to be seeing the same thing that I'm seeing. And, I've called Adam up, really late at night, and, he's called me, and, we're seeing a very strange swing in the moon positions and in the size of the moon from one day to the next. Like, like there's something going on where there's like this pulling and this pushing each day. And I've been thinking about this, but if you've been following like SolarHam or spaceweather.com and you've been looking at the rate of the CME ejections, where you've got the CMEs that are coming out at million miles per hour, or whatever, is it possible that that the solar wind is like really pushing with a great force and making the moon bounce forward and then backwards as it tries to readjust and go back to its normal position? So what does that do? It creates what we have on Earth, where we have these expansions, where it expands and then it contracts the landmass. So it's kind of like,
you know what that's called? In short, one word: birth pains.
I'm sorry, what?
Contractions.
Yeah, birth pains.
What you're talking about right now is the birth pains. That is visible. We can see it. And Matthew, it says that there will be signs in the sun, in the moon, in the stars, and in earth of the coming of the Son of Man. And that will be the signs of the birth pains, right?
Well, we need the Antichrist first.
Say again?
So we need the Antichrist first.
Yeah, I know, but we are in the birth pains right now. The earth, everything is giving birth to all hell. And then God will intervene, not before that. Man has to go out there and make his final decision. Where does he want to go? Home or not home?
But I don't understand that, because we don't have decision over anything that happens here, like we discussed earlier. It's all the psychopaths that run the world. So we have no say in it.
Hey, just let them run the world. Let them do what they're doing. Just make sure that you're bringing people to Christ and you're close to Christ. That's all your concern. You don't have to concern yourself with Bill Gates. Screw him. He's made up his mind. Pray for him, but he's made up his mind. I know he's not going to heaven. I'm pretty sure he's not. You shouldn't say that, but I don't think there's any hope for him.
I'll tell you right now, if I make it to heaven and I see Bill Gates there, I'm turning around and walking out, because that's the only place I want to be.
No, you're not. You're going to give him a hug. You might even go fishing with him with Peter.
Here's how you have to look at it, right, from a 1,000-foot view, right? Like, if in the end everybody dies and they make it to heaven, right? Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, if that happens, and then everybody's like, hey, this was just a big game, and you find out, like, how long was this going on, and how long could you hold out, or were you on the right path, were you making the right decisions? I mean, think about it, like,
that makes more sense to me than anything, dude, because then that would perpetuate the sides of good and evil, and why these people are so persistent in doing evil. It's like it's their job, like they were ordained to do evil.
Yeah,
there are some people speculating in that we in a simulation. Could be. I can't prove that. Could be.
Yeah, it's just like the best that we can do is we can only go with what we've got and follow our hearts in the end. I mean,
exactly.
That's it.
That's what he has laid out for us. Choose him. side of the aisle do you want to be on? That's really the question. To be or not to be.
It's just a, it's just a balancing act, just imagine, like, okay, we have somebody that we really don't like, right? And like, we have free will. We could wipe them out if we wanted to. I mean, we could totally do that, We could go down the street right now. We could wipe out anybody that we wanted to, right? But do we do it? No, because, we know that there are consequences for it, right? But we know they'll be logged out of the game or whatever, and that'll be it, and they'll go somewhere. I mean, we don't know what, ultimately is going to happen in the end. But think about this. The God architect is, he's watching this unfold every day, but he had to make all of the same decisions that we're making every day with his own free will, right? And he shows his mercy for everybody. And just imagine, if he was not merciful and was just cutthroat, like how we are trying to be cutthroat with certain individuals on this earth, it would just, it would just be bad for everybody, because this world is like a very evil place.
There'll be very few people left on the planet.
Yeah. So
very fast.
It's just tough. It's tough all the way around the chessboard. Like, no matter how we look at the chessboard, it's just tough. And it's like we as individuals, we can only do the best that we can individually to be on the right spiritual path. But like, whatever is going to happen in the end, it'll happen. Whatever the actual plan is.
I had a period in my life where I was scared of all this. That only lasted for a little year. Now, come what may, I got full trust in our Lord is going to save today. Complete trust in that. Because he's in control. He was, he is, and he will always be. He's the Alpha Omega. I don't hold any fear anymore. I don't care. I just want to go home. If you can follow that. I just want to go home. I am so tired of this crap.
It's like, dude, it's never ending, and once you see the truth, it's like, it's hard to... Talking to normal people that are asleep is like, dude, it's so, like, you can just look, I don't know if I was blessed with, like, the premonition to be able to judge people that quickly. It's not even judging them. It's just to realize it's like they're either actually a living person with their own thoughts, or it's just their program.
Well, don't let your guts deceive you. If you have an idea about someone is not someone you should associate yourself with, stay away from them.
Right.
You don't have to engage in any form of contact with them. Just stay away from them.
My point was to that, it's hard to find. That's exactly why we're sitting here talking on the phone, and we all live an hour or more away from each other. It's like, in my own town, it's hard to find somebody I can go have an actual conversation with. It's either they're 100% religious and they understand nothing about what's going on in the world and they don't care, or it's they don't understand anything and they don't care.
Well, look at it this way. Look at it this way. You may be a more spiritually evolved person, and maybe you've been placed in a position where you're at this point in time to anchor some type of light and bring some type of good.
It's weird you say that, John. I know it's not a part of the religion, but it's like I went to a psychic one time, and she basically said the exact same thing to me that you're saying now. She said that your presence alone, that where you are, blinds the darkness with your light.
Right. I mean, like, think about like where God puts all of his people all over the world, right? There's always going to be, good and bad, but he will balance the equation out in the end, mathematically,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and we have to be the light of the world. Darkness can never extinguish light. Never. It cannot be done. That's a physical impossibility. You can do all the experiments you want, John, because you're a scientist. Do all you can. You cannot extinguish light with darkness. It cannot be done. Period. And that is exactly what Mike has said so many times. He says, you need to be the light of the world because you shine in the darkness and people will turn to you because they don't like the darkness. Darkness is scary for many people.
you want to know who solved the equation? Well, I would just say this. A good way to look at this from a mathematical standpoint of view would be Mandelbrot. And Mandelbrot solved the infinite equation of fractal. And if you think about the fractality of everything in existence of the universe, it's all fractal. You know, we're all fractals of something, just infinite, ever repeating fractalization of creation of life. And I think one of the coolest science experiments I probably ever had seen is where they, used vacuum chambers and they had like tubes within tubes within tubes. And they witnessed life being created in tubes that were embedded within tubes and other tubes and other tubes, where no life could possibly have been created because the isolation factor was so extreme that the probability and the impossibility of life to be created where it was created was just impossible. But if you think about the fractalization of everything at the infinite molecular level that goes on infinitely down beyond, the only thing that can explain it is fractal. And with light comes the power of creation. And it's through light alone that brings that creation. So I may be like losing everybody on this topic, but if you just work with me a little bit,
all you have to do is go to Genesis 1.
Yeah.
God said, let there be light.
Yeah.
Hey, and that was light. And that flushed out the darkness immediately.
Yeah, it was through that, where, that is definitely witnessed, but the simplicity of it is exactly like what you're reading, right? But, in the mind of a scientist, it's like, how do you bridge those two gaps and see it? But, only God can make you intelligent enough to be able to see and for that to be revealed to you if you're ready to see that. And processing it and understanding it is a whole nother level. But, for me, this, that
will require, if you want to see something like that, you need to be an Ezekiel or Isaiah or Moses or Elisha type of person. God is not going to just reveal stuff to people. You need to be a little special,
Yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah, it's complicated. Yeah, it is. Hey, did you know actually, scientists, which is dealing with paternity, they have seen in the moment the sperm enters the egg at a pregnancy in a human, a light shows up. In a split second, actually a millionth of a second, there is a glimpse of light. You know what that is? That's your soul. Because all of us is light. Some of us just choose darkness. We don't want to have anything to do with our Father in heaven, like Bill Gates. You don't want to have anything to do with him. He has clearly shown that. by his actions. We are all light. It's hard to wrap your mind around because many people will say, "Oh, kidding! Now you're becoming like a new ager." What a bunch of nonsense! I'm not a new ager. It has nothing to do with that.
That's true.
We are light. We are light. There's a light inside us.
For the babies they're making in test tubes, they're having to, they don't have that spark. And they came to the realization they had to hit it with electricity to get it to take.
Exactly. If there's no soul in that body, which is a hybrid as an example, they have to artificially kickstart it. Without the light, no life. Period. That's how simple it is. And that's again variation in frequency because light is a frequency. And everybody knows that if they know a little about, frequencies, that all frequencies, have a wavelength, and those wavelengths are light. The entire electromagnetic spectrum, which only a little sliver of it we can see, all the rest of it is light. But we can't see it and perceive it. But it can be detected by instruments. But it's still light. Everything is light. Isn't that weird? That is pretty weird to think about it like that. Everything is light.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably take us down. I could probably take us down like such a big spiritual rabbit hole. But we gotta come back to that one definitely on another day. I know, we were gonna do this climate chaos discussion, and we have all this stuff that we were gonna discuss. Maybe we can try to throw that out as quick as we can about the Russia condition. But have you guys been? What have you been seeing, and what are your thoughts around what's going on with the Russia situation? You give me your take, and then I'll give you mine.
It seems like they're changing their game plan to me. It's what they wanted to do is initially not going to work because the people have gotten smart enough to know it's ridiculous and they're not going to go along with it. So, like you were saying, they're going to need a big boom boom, or they're going to need some new pandemic to get us to go where they want us to go.
They just need a false flag attack with a nuclear bomb on American soil and blame it on the Russians. Then everybody will be behind them. Right.
So have you seen where Russia or where Ukraine voted to be with Russia, and then now they're pushing this thing saying that America isn't going to accept that, and you got all these people. Yeah, and listen to me on this one. If you've been watching what people say in these chat boxes, if you've been watching the media that's coming out and the things that they're saying in it, the number one thing that you see with artificial intelligence is that they're trying to make these statements that America doesn't like this, or it's Americans that want this. Somebody's always trying to put the blame on all of the people of America, when it's not the people of America that are making these decisions. It's Washington. It's the president. It's the people that have money who
it's
are...
the deep state.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not
It's not us.
It's a few select people with money.
Yeah, it's not the people that are working their everyday jobs who are trying to just have fun and enjoy life and provide for their family, or trying to...
Hunter Biden's having lots of fun. He's banging underage hookers and doing lots of blow and meth. He's having the time of his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
nobody's coming after.
I've been this is pretty bad. It's a bad situation because this is what we're facing, right? Russia has taken back they've taken back Ukraine. And if Texas were going to leave the United States of America, and believe me, I posted this up, right? Especially to combat some of those things. But if Texas was going to leave the United States of America, The United States of America would do the same thing that Russia is doing to the Ukraine right now. They're going to be like, no, we're not going to let Texas leave. No, you're not going to succeed. And we're prepared to go to war to stop you from doing that. And that's the same thing Russia is doing. But now you've got like, they're trying to use the power of social media to go in and say, well, nobody in Ukraine wants to be with Russia. Well, first of all, America, Washington, you don't live there. It's not your country. You're not running it. You have no right to say that. And, this is just one of those things where they want to come in and they want to steal something and, use the power of media and technology to fool, but everybody's getting smart. Everybody can see the truth. In fact, you see like where people get their videos snuck out of Russia and Ukraine, and you got both parties going, we don't want this war. We know what these people are trying to do, but like, listen, it's the same play, the same game every time something comes up. They see everything that's going on. We, the average citizen, we see everything that's going on. And, we know at the end of the day, it's us that have to pay the penalty. It's us that have to die. It's not the people in Washington. It's not the people with the money. It's the regular civilians and the people that enlist in the military to fight these senseless wars.
I think we have to give our consent, John, just like we went over there for 9/11 for weapons of mass destruction. If social media had been at a place it is today with the truth that is out there to find, the people would not have had it. The people would have stopped that fucking war. Excuse my language. It would have never have happened.
I think you're right on that.
There's no way. If the first thing that would happen, if the United States got nuked, all of us people that were smart would find out exactly where it came from. And if we even had a hint of suspicion that the United States government was responsible for the biggest false flag, another one, I don't know about you, but I know exactly where I would be headed, and there would be multiple thousands or millions of people behind me.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem today, right? The problem today is that, everybody's comfortable. Everybody wants to continue living their lives the way that they're living it. Nobody, think about it, right? It doesn't matter what your religion is. Nobody wants to go and enact death or create death for anybody, right? But we've got people that want to constantly do it. But we're still still just trying to make it day to day, and because we don't want to deal, with changing, where our comfort levels in life are. But
I don't see that 100% because just like I think people are starting to see through everything. Just like this hurricane that hit, you had President Biden go into FEMA and make a speech about how we all need to come together, and people don't believe the government's worth a shit anymore. Okay. Meanwhile, he's at FEMA. People are literally without water, power, cell phone service, and Biden's in there making a speech about how good of a response they've had. I don't know about you, but they had days, weeks, months to prepare for this. You could have rations of water and food that could be taken by Black Hawk helicopter or any other military vehicle and dropped at strategic locations as soon as the storm rolls through. They have little towers, many towers you can set up to get the cell phones start working. Okay, people are starting to see through all the bullshit and all the money laundering that goes into even helping people when you think you're helping them. The best way to help somebody is to go take whatever you have to give and give it to somebody by hand. We need to stop trusting the government to help anybody in a disaster.
Yeah.
We need to do it ourselves.
We from the government, we're here to help, right? That's when you run.
It just makes no sense to me. Like they have these $1 million budgets to go help somebody, but yet nobody knows how to fly a helicopter or drop off a cargo.
They've got many people that can do that.
All you have to do is fly over and drop that thing, and people would distribute it themselves, as long as there's enough.
The problem is, the communist is in power, right? And they don't give a flying F about anybody. They have a plan, and they're going to carry that plan out, and they're going to make themselves look good and blame everything on Trump and Russia and Putin. That's how they operate. And that's communism in a nutshell. That is, they're always pointing the fingers at someone else while they're doing it themselves.
Yeah, let me inject something here with that statement that you just made, Henning. So case in point being, look at this. There is the Chernobyl nuclear facility, which I've discussed several times when I was talking about the radiation factor, right? So Russia created that incident and that condition, and they learned from it, and they are still suffering a great deal of damage and fallout from that, and they are living with it daily, and they are still working diligently, like Japan is with their fallout, to correct the condition of action that befell them. And so we're in the middle of this war, and we know how America does its business whenever it's going somewhere and it wants to lie about something in order to take over it, or they make up an excuse to go and steal or grab a piece of technology or some ancient artifact somewhere. We know the games and the tricks that they're constantly playing. But the case in point is that you're right, on that, because why would Russia want to go and sabotage something like the Chernobyl plant, or this nuclear facility which was being bombed in their own country? Why would they want to go irradiate their own country and kill all of their people with radioactive fallout? They're not going to do that. So the only people that would be bombing the facility would be the hostiles, which would be America or NATO or whoever is over there doing that.
Yeah.
But
why would you commit conscious suicide when you are conducting a war? I mean, that will make no sense to anybody, not even people who is dumber than a box of cornflakes. Why would you do that? Kill yourself.
Right. And then you have to ask the other question, right? What military brigade or group or faction wants to go into an area that would be like that and suicide themselves?
NATO.
Well,
Unfortunately, NATO will do it.
So, I mean, it's just those kinds of things that you have to think about, right? And then why, NATO
is already planning on doing that.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, they're demonstrating it every day. They're demonstrating it every day that they don't care about living or anybody else's lives. But one thing that is being demonstrated is Putin, the guy that they're trying to go after, is he is defending and he is protecting those areas. He's not bombing them, he's protecting them. And like I said in some previous discussions when I was talking about the nuclear situation, is that if he's protecting them, he is strategically getting into a position where you're not going to checkmate him, because he is in an area where you cannot touch him, because the consequences of touching him in those areas, or his troops, or his strategically located positions, would be catastrophic for the rest of the world. So, they're not stupid enough to do that. And if they are, then they're just stupid, because whether you're sitting in Washington all comfortable or not, eventually what happens is the radioactive, material comes to our side of the fence eventually and poisons everybody over here. So, or somewhere else around the world. So there's no escaping the fallout and the consequences. And the people the people that are involved in the military decisions, they're not going to escape the consequences, and they're not going to escape the death sentence that they're going to have to face. And they've got all the same training that everybody else does, and they understand how the RADS system works. The accumulation over time, the hours per minute, hours, the accumulation per second. It's only a matter of time before, that catches up with you, and, you either are able to somewhat survive or you exit, in a very
Well,
unpleasant manner.
you know what I think
So-
has woken a lot of people up of power? They realize when they pull this trigger, they're all going to have to go underground, and they're all going to have to, for the majority, separate. Now, if there's one thing I know about these kind of people that rule the world, they don't have many friends, real friends. The friends that they have, they use or they pull certain tags or triggers to get them to do favors for them. Okay, they're not real.
Well, them is not friends.
Right, exactly. But they're friends of business, right? They don't have any real friends. They don't have any real love. Most of them hate their own families.
They have connections.
My point is when they realize they have to separate and live with whoever they choose to take down with them in that hole, all they have to look at is themselves or somebody else they probably initially hate and don't want there to begin with. So I think a lot of people in power are having second thoughts after this whole Charlie 19 thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
look at
That gave people an eye opener as to what happens when you have to isolate or you have to have no contact with people.
Yeah.
check this out. So there was a time, like, when I was doing, like, the science of some things back in the day, and I was explaining some things about their underground system. And while it's great and all, it may sound like it's a good thing, but when the water starts flowing on the earth, when the magma starts moving on the earth, whatever facility that they are in, wherever that they are in, one of those two conditions are eventually going to break through whatever they are in, and it's either going to flood them out or burn them out. And
And that's another problem too. With radioactive fallout, let's just say we get a limited or pretty severe nuclear war happening. There is no man-made filter that can filter out radioactive isotopes. It cannot be done. So they themselves down there, they have to breathe. And they're going to have to suck in the air from the top side, clean it up, but there will still be radioactivity. Because another thing with the radioactivity is accumulative. It doesn't go up, it builds up. The more radioactive material you're in contact with, the more accumulation there is of radioactive material in your system. And it will eventually kill you.
The people that can afford these things, most of them are typically not smart. They have connections, right? And just the small amount of electronics and gadgets that I buy, and I kind of like force myself to being on the cutting edge of technology here, the failure rate with really nice pieces of equipment is just as high as lower end equipment. So like, unless these people know how to keep these bunkers and things going or assess technical problems, they're dead. If they can't grow their food, they're dead. If their water filtration goes out, they're dead. Like you're saying, if their special $100,000 filters don't work as properly as they're supposed to, they're dead.
They are dead anyway, because you cannot filter out radioactive dust. It is microscopic. It cannot be filtered. That's the big problem. No matter how deep they are in the ground, they have to suck in oxygen from topside in order to breathe. They can have oxygen tanks down there, but that is freaking limited how much room they can have for that to breathe for many years to come. And it will be for many years to come.
Yeah,
it cannot be done.
Yeah, I think what was interesting is a few broadcasts back that after, like I had discussed that prior to some broadcasts on, Begley's show with Mike, that Mike actually talked about there was a time like when a lot of rain was getting dumped on some of their facilities where they were, and it was getting down underground and they were being flooded out. I mean, they're just not going to be able to escape any of that. So,
No.
while they can prepare and plan all they want, like nothing in the end is always foolproof.
And you know what the survivors will do?
Yeah.
They will try to dig in and get to them because they know there's stuff down there they can survive on.
Yeah.
So eventually, if they're getting forced out, they're going to be killed when they hit topside by the people, the mob, because they know where they are.
A bunker's only good if nobody knows where it's at.
Exactly, but
Because
people know where they are.
There's got to be a pipe or a system that goes down into where you're living. And a guy like me, some idiot from Oklahoma, you give me a week, I'll get in there. I don't care what the hell you got in my way, I'll get through.
I like that.
Hey,
that's determination. I like it.
So let me I'll try to, because I got a lot of things just to bring up really quick that'll be things to shift a little bit. But let's talk about war crimes, right? So did you guys see that
war crime?
Yeah, hold on. Let's talk about what Biden just jumped on the air and said prior to the pipelines all being destroyed. He said, and he got out and openly said it, on public television, and every single news media has played it. Every outlet on social media has played it. It's been played everywhere. And he said, we're going to make sure that the pipelines get destroyed. And he just came out and said it. And then boom.
No, he didn't exactly say that.
Well,
he said, we will stop the pipeline. Yeah. And then the journalist said, how are you going to do that? And then he just replied,
it's going to be done.
Stop it.
Yeah, he said it's going to be done. So, I mean, the bottom line is when you say that, it means that that there's some action that has been taken and it is already being dealt with. So
yeah, you are implying your guilt there.
Yeah, exactly.
And nobody's reacting to that. I don't understand.
I think that's one of those things that he got briefed on when he was half awake, and he probably wasn't supposed to say that. But as you noticed, he likes to feel like he's in power still, and him saying that and that little evil grin he let out after he said it, I think that was just part of his ego getting in the way, and that wasn't supposed to be said.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the bottom, one of the bottom lines are these two most important factors. There's a real war crime that's actually happening right now, and if that is to me, it's an open admittance of being affiliated with the party that's destroying the pipelines. So that in itself already is a war crime. And it's one generated by somebody that's in power from our own country, and that's bad. Two is, you got all these climate activists that want to support climate, try to change the climate chaos agenda here by helping to fix the climate situation. Well, let's stop things for 1 second. The ocean is being poisoned by millions upon millions upon millions of gallons of fuel per second and per minute. These pipelines are just flooding the ocean with all of this gas now. So who's talking about that, right? Who's talking about that? Who's stopping that? Think about the think about the BP oil spill. Think about think about this fuel. Think about the nuclear radiation from the Fukushima that's going into the thing. Think about the destruction of this other nuclear power plant in the Ukraine.
Hold on 1 second, John, before you go too much further. The thing with the oil and the natural gas is, even if we weren't here on this planet, naturally that stuff would come to the surface and or explode due to pressure. So it would naturally release, maybe not in the quantities that we're doing now, but there still is a natural tide when it comes to those things that they will naturally release.
Well, that is true. That is true, but I think there are actual chemicals being expelled along with the gases.
Well, there is this little thing here about, we say oil spills are bad. They are, when they're man-made oil spills. But nobody is taking into account that there is thousands of different species in the oceans that benefits from this oil. They do. It's a part of the ecological system, the oil. Man has just found the idea that they can actually use that for fuel, for energy.
Yeah, like in its natural form, it's not toxic, and even it does good things for the skin on in small applications, like natural petroleum. So
yeah, if you're working with it in its unrefined form, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Unrefined.
Yeah, as soon as you refine oil, crude oil, it turns toxic. Period. Gasoline is toxic. Just spill some gasoline on the top of your hand and just let it evaporate. You're gonna have a nasty itch after that. It's irritating your skin, but crude oil is not irritating your skin because oil rig workers, they're working out there, they're getting crude oil on them all the time. It's a mess on an oil rig.
Yeah,
it's
and another thing,
it's a dirty job.
I used to work on both. I used to do a little rigging myself, and then I had a decent job as a pipeline operator for natural gas. And there's so much free-flowing natural gas under such high pressures. They drill relief wells that they just light on fire in the middle of nowhere, and they let those damn things burn 24 hours a day because there's so much pressure that they can't cap it yet. So, like, the amount of resources that we just let go because there's so much abundance, and that we just dick every other step of the way is just eye-opening when you work in those fields. You're like, how do we have a shortage?
You don't have a shortage.
Exactly. There never is a shortage, and there never will be.
No, there will never be a shortage. We can suck out all of it, and Earth will just reproduce it in a faster rate than we can take it out.
Exactly. And people think that as soon as I talk to somebody that's like, the oil comes from the dinosaurs. I'm like, no, bro, no. Like, if you can give me one real fossilized dinosaur that's legit, by all means, prove it to me. But, like, as far as anything's concerned, dinosaurs aren't real to me, and they never existed. I think they're all made up to cover in a gap in time that they want to cover up the history books with, to go along with the Big Bang. Personally, I don't believe it.
I do. But that's another matter.
There might have been larger animals, but not like they're portraying. Just not at all.
So some of our subscribers, I could pop in and said a couple of things. So I just want to say hi to everybody there. Christy says, does anyone notice an eerie quiet? So I've seen a lot of comments, and a lot of people are saying things like that everywhere. Like, hey, like, why isn't like the media like saying all this stuff, or why are they quiet? You know, like, what's going on? Well, I mean, the truth is that you know, there are a lot of pieces moving around, and you know, there's definitely stuff that's stationed in place without question. The question is it still goes back around to where we haven't felt this real sting of something yet. But the question is, when are we going to get to see that happen? But I think
a lot of the journalists are actually members of the club. They're agents.
Yeah.
And the rest of them that is not part of the club, they're on a gag order.
Yeah.
You don't post this, you only post that. And when we say jump, you jump. Or you don't have a job. And if you're real crude, you also end up in a body bag. Meaning if you really step out of line, you're going to die. That's how it is.
Yeah, Michael Hastings.
Yeah, I'm just convinced that there is no such thing as true journalism left anymore. Only in the grassroots. But who's listening to them? Oh no, they're conspiracy theorists. Oh no, they are MAGA, right? No, they're just people with, moral and values that actually have an interest in the betterment of mankind, right? Get the truth out there. Let people make a decision about certain things.
Well, I do have one thing that probably just to kind of like exit with, because I know we're getting like, I think we're like, let's see, we're almost 2 hours. Is
Wow.
there's something that I've been noticing in Dallas, and nobody's talking about it. We've had some incidents, and everybody has seen this because I've filmed it when some of these events happened. We've had gas pipeline explosions. We have had a lot of tremors and earthquake activity happening in Dallas, Plano, Irving, Mesquite, and they're not being reported. In fact,
Oh,
they've been so bad that the highways, where all of the mix masters, the bridges, the overpasses, um, you can see like where if a bridge has a curve on it and it's going around. Um, let me just use my two hands here for a second to illustrate this. If there's a bridge and an overpass that's going around, what you'll see now is that after the tremor events have happened, now there's a buckle in the road like this, and some part of the overpass has been pushed up. And what you see on the ground where the road is if you're going across the top of the surface of the road, you're seeing the roads are like this, the concrete is like this now, and some of it is buckled and pushed up. And you see it like where it's a wave, like you can see where the wave of the tremor has moved and shifted everything. I'm now seeing the all of the foundations of houses have been like there is a ripple in a pond. A giant wave went out from the shock wave of the earthquake, and it moved everything. And you can see it for miles and miles. Like if you're just driving down like streets, you can see like the corners of houses got completely like, here, corners of houses. Oh, let me get a book. Hold on, let me get a book. That's the only way I can show this.
there's a fault line going through Irving and Dallas.
Yeah, it's
In
okay.
case you didn't know.
Yeah, one second. So, if I have a book, right? Let's just take this book here. It's completely level. So what we're seeing is that on all of the houses and the buildings, the corner is uprooted like this. Just the corner. Some of the corners are like completely picked up, and they look like this. And if you were looking at it like standing in front of the buildings, like this was the horizon line and you're facing it, you can see like where it's pushed up so much that it's tilted like this. So,
What the hell is that?
My Discord just opened up randomly and started playing a video.
Oh, great.
it's called the takeover. It's the takeover.
Dude, no, for real, not even kidding.
No, but
Like, it scared me.
yeah. So back to like where we are on that. So like if you're looking straight at the structure of any of the buildings or the roads or the bridges or anything, they have all shifted. They've been waved. The corners are picked up. Some of them are actually bowed in like this, like where they're buckling down in the middle and they're sinking. Or some of the corners, like on the corners of the buildings, they're going down like this. And it literally looks like this. Like if you're looking at it straight with a horizon line, some of the corners are pushed down into the ground like that. So I'm seeing that everywhere now. Everywhere, like for miles, like 2, 3, 4, 5 miles out, like when I drive somewhere. I'm seeing that. There's a lot of surface damage. People have been removing their brick chimneys and fireplaces. They've been, trees have been falling over and destroying houses, not from high winds or something, or from their being old and just dying, but there's been some kind of ground shift, and you can see like where the trees just fall over into the houses or something. But we've had like a couple of house explosions where the houses completely like blew up and it destroyed houses within neighborhoods. We've had gas line, pipeline explosions. We've got like a lot of structural and building damage from ground movement. And so.
Have you noticed something, John? in Texas lately. The transitions between the road and the bridge are brutal.
Yeah. So
that's an indication that the ground is shifting.
Oh yeah, yeah. In fact,
They're not in level anymore.
one of the quickest things that you can tell how strong the drop is when you're driving down any road and you feel like you're bump, bump, bump. Like whenever your car is just driving. If you look in your, let's say your side mirrors or your rear view mirror, you're gonna pass each section, right? So let's say that this is section 1, this is section 2. There's like multiple sections, right? You're gonna see in your rear view mirror something like this. Like when you look behind, you're gonna see like a black line. And what that black line is it's the shadow cast where the concrete or the road is buckled and it's lifted up. But as your car is going over it, it's falling into the next section. And that's why your suspension is constantly making that sound, because that ground has, started changing rapidly. So I'm wondering
it's especially bad on 35.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the city is going to do, because the damage is so great that there's going to be so much work. It's like, how are they going to, do all of this? But have you been seeing that in any of your travels? Because I know in Dallas, the last couple of weeks have been the most extreme. Like literally one day to the next, the transition was so massive that I wondered, like, what's happening? Why is nobody talking about this, like in the news and the media? Like, why isn't any of the tremors of the earthquakes, being reported? Like neighbors in my area, everybody, after like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, heard all the loud booms and the cracks and the pops in the ground whenever the earthquakes were happening. So
it scared people.
Yeah. So, but you don't see that. You don't see that being reported on any of the earthquake systems. You don't see anybody talking about that in any of the news. So for me, that's a concern. That definitely there has to be like a gag order of some kind in effect to prevent the panic of that getting out. But
it doesn't serve their agenda, and at the same time, they don't want to scare people and make people focus on that. They want them to focus on what they are telling them of lies.
Yeah.
That's what they want. They want absolute control, and that's how they keep the control, by being silent.
I don't know. I think to touch on that before we get off here, I think that is all part of the design collapse. They don't want people traveling. They know the roads are going to go to crap. They've been promoting electric cars. They can't even seem to, keep chargers alive to even charge them, nor produce the electricity to do so. So I think the plan is to get everybody broke, get them to where they can't drive their cars or travel, and keep them stuck there until they die.
Yeah, you will own nothing and be happy, right?
It would also be a good way for them to get the Elon Musk's his hypertrain or whatever built, and then that would be about the only way to travel besides air. So it would be a great way to lock people down.
Travel on that train, you have to have a chip in your hand. Just wait for it. It's coming.
Yeah, so that is that's become a concern for a lot of people, because I'm not the only one seeing that here in Dallas. A lot of people are seeing that in Dallas, and nobody's talking about it. And I know that like when Mike did a broadcast with Paul Begley back in the day, he would talk about wind damage to structure. But to be quite honest, we're not dealing with wind here. We're dealing with ground movement, and there's a lot of it, and it's visible to the naked eye. It's just as visible as like when I go out and I see the stars doing some strange stuff, the moon's been doing some strange stuff, the time anomalies, just some interesting
No,
things
the
that
time
you can
anomalies
just
got
go
me
out and
tripping.
see. Uh-huh.
So
What's that?
the time anomalies got me tripping sometimes.
Yeah, so have you been doing like the analog monitoring?
My analog watch in my car is behind my phone, and I set them identically 2 months ago. It's 4 minutes behind.
Yeah, so what you're gonna see is what I described a while back. So you're gonna see like 30-minute swings, 15-minute swings. Sometimes you may see what you're seeing, a 4-minute or a 10-minute. You're gonna see it fluctuate. You're gonna see it fluctuate. And you know, Mike talked about, you know, like people are gonna see things with the daytime sky with like light or darkness, right? Like, you know, maybe you come out and it'll be, you know, daylight or it's the middle of the night or whatever. I've seen phenomenon like that, so I mean, I can vouch that you know, those things can happen. Um, but time is a different. It's a different thing altogether, because when you're dealing with analog is being done by mechanical movement, and it's not controlled by what they're controlling with on these cell phones and satellite in space. So it's a little bit different, but you know, definitely the anomaly of time is definitely there. And it doesn't matter if we have this leap year or this jump year or fall, spring forward, you know, fall back, whatever. None of that matters, because when you're looking at the analog clock and you're looking at the time that they actually have on their satellites and what's controlled on the, you know, basically it's called internet time, because all of your, you know, devices that hook up to the internet, that communicate, you know, on the internet, is your Internet of Things device. It's internet connected, and if it's computing time, it's getting its time from a satellite, you know, from a government-controlled, you know, server somewhere. So your analog is going to show you what that massive difference in the time swings are. So you know, we're definitely seeing stuff like that. So you got time anomalies, you got star anomalies, you got moon anomalies, you've got you know, a lot of ground movement that's happening, and you know, there is a lot of geoengineering, but there's also a lot of water displacement that's going on as a result. You know, like I said earlier, with the sandboxes and the balancing, you know, if you're shifting all this water weight from one position to another, I mean, it's going to affect the scales on one side, you know. So
yeah, I call it birth pains. The whole world, the whole universe is oscillating.
Yeah, so
that's what's going on.
But it is definitely picking up and getting more extreme. I mean, it's definitely visible. It's definitely noticeable.
At some point, it's going to break. And I think it's going to break when they declare peace and security. That's when God is going to let it go. To let them know what peace and security. You got to understand, you little grasshoppers, I'm in charge. Sounds harsh, but sometimes we need a little butt slapping.
Well, there's definitely more to talk about, but I guess we can, you know, come back to the table with more on that soon, I guess.
Yeah, next week.
Yeah.
If there is a next week.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
tomorrow is never promised for anybody.
Absolutely. Just say when. I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay. Well, guys, it's been real fun. So it was good talking to you.
Yeah, and Anton, try and keep up when we are texting.
Yeah, I'll try not to take any breaks.
I'm gonna send you a picture right now of my home base where I work, of a beautiful sunset with something we're very familiar with in the sky. It's called contrails. You got it now. It's sent. All right. Okay. Until next time.
All right. Later, boys.
All right. Thanks
bless
to all
you
the
all.
subscribers that stopped in too. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.